For 57 years, a man tricked his enslavers into believing that he had converted to Christianity. But he never did. He hid the proof in Arabic, in a language they couldn't read. And when scholars finally decoded what he had actually written, they found that the truth had been there the entire time, hidden in plain sight in every document he ever produced. His name was Omar ibn Said, and this is his story. Before they took him, he was nobody's slave. He was born around 1770 to a wealthy family in what is now Senegal. He spent 25 years studying under respected Muslim scholars, mathematics, astronomy, theology. He memorized passages of the Quran, and he wrote in Arabic the way that other men breathe, fluently, naturally, in the language that he thought in. In 1807, a military conflict swept through his region. In his own words, written by his own hand decades later, he described what happened. There came to our place a large army, who killed many men and took me, and brought me to the great sea and sold me into the hands of the Christians. He was 37 years old, and he would never see home again. He was first sold to a violent enslaver in South Carolina, a man he later described as a complete infidel who had no fear of God. He escaped and fled north. When he reached Fayetteville, North Carolina, he found a church and went inside to pray. He was caught and arrested as a runaway and locked in the Cumberland County Jail. And this is the part I need you to see, right? Alone in that cell, everything taken from him. His country, his family, his freedom, his name. He reached into the ashes, pulled out a piece of coal, and wrote on the walls of his cell in Arabic. The jailers had no idea what it said. And of course, word spread. A prominent man named General James Owen heard about an enslaved man covering his jail cell walls in a foreign language. And of course, he went to go see it himself. He purchased Omar on the spot. Omar spent the next decades with the Owen family. Around 1821, he was baptized as a Christian. His enslavers celebrated. They displayed him as evidence, a Muslim scholar from Africa, converted, civilized, grateful. They gave him an Arabic Bible. They showed him to missionaries, to scholars, to anyone that would be impressed by the story of a man that was brought into the light. And in 1831, he wrote his autobiography. It's only 15 pages, but it's all in Arabic. It's the only known surviving slave narrative written in Arabic in America. It actually spent most of the last century forgotten in a trunk in Virginia. His enslavers read it as confirmation of everything they wanted to believe. But here's what they couldn't read. The opening line of Omar's autobiography, in Arabic, in the hand of a man who had spent 25 years mastering the language of the Quran, is the Basmala, the declaration that opens every single chapter of the Quran. In God's name, the most gracious, the most merciful. Inside the Bible his enslavers gave him to mark his conversion, Omar wrote in his own hand, "Praise be to Allah, all is good from Allah," on a card dated 1857. 36 years into his enslavement with the Owens, he wrote out a chapter of the Quran, predicting the conversion of non-Muslims to Islam. What white observers believed was the Lord's Prayer in his writings was actually Surat 110 of the Quran. I hope I said that right. Scholars who can read Arabic have spent nearly 2 centuries reaching the same conclusion. Omar wrote for 2 audiences simultaneously. For the white readers who surrounded him, he performed conversion. For anyone who could read Arabic, he left the truth embedded in every single document that he produced. He never converted. He just made sure the people that owned him believed he had. Omar ibn Said died in 1864, 1 year before the 13th Amendment. He lived into his mid-90s. His manuscript is actually in the Library of Congress right now. The Basmala is on the first line where he put it 190 years ago. He wrote the Quran on the walls of his jail cell and made them believe that it was a cry for help. He wrote his faith in every document he produced for 57 years, and let the people who owned him believe that he'd abandoned it. They displayed him as proof that slavery worked, but he was proof of something else entirely. Omar ibn Said never forgot who he was. He hid it in Arabic in a country that couldn't read it. For 57 years. Say his name, Omar ibn Said.